I hope that my video is not freezing in the first 5 seconds like the last one. Welcome, everybody. This is Path of the Exiles, the series in which I play Path of Exile, and I also get drunk and talk about my childhood and cry on webcam. So, fuck yeah. The music right now, this is Mega Man X5, Burn Dino Rex, also known as Matrix. Hold the phone. Alright. So I got an extra one of these, and some of these, and some of these, and some of these. I'm gonna lower the volume a little bit just to make sure it's not overpowering. I hope it's loud enough without being too loud. This is one of my favorite songs from Mega Man X5. It's so damn good. Also, it looks like I got my first Chow Sword. Oh, my portal fucking went away. Well, that's actually a darn shame. Whatever. But yeah, this is Path of the Exiles. If you're interested in like a more complete experience, I would recommend watching episode 61 of this show and onward. That's the Harvest League. And Harvest League has been where I've kind of taken this new approach of just getting drunk and then talking about my childhood and other kind of crap. And in the last video, I talked a little bit about the real-life events that kind of fueled my politics over the last 5-6 years. And really ever since I was a kid. But like kind of pointing it all, like bringing it all together, figuring it out. And I'm going to talk more about the political angle. My influences, a lot of that kind of stuff. And like I said in the previous video, the Bernie Sanders 2016 campaign was where I had first heard someone else promote the idea that poor people should be allowed to live life to their fullest, just like rich people. This is the first time where I heard the idea that poor people should be allowed to go to the doctor and not have their lives ruined. Again, watch the previous video for my own personal context. When I was a teenager, I went to the doctor and my mother was hit with a bill that she could not pay that ultimately resulted in us losing our house in the Obama post-recession economy. And like, I had heard Bernie fucking Sanders on that debate stage tell me that it was okay. Like, I was poor. I felt guilty. I felt like I had ruined my own life by being sick as a kid. Having a chronic illness as a child, I had taken personal responsibility for it. My mom was very abusive and she kind of told me that it was all my fault for many years. And I believed it. And then I heard Bernie fucking Sanders say that there are poor people and that poor people shouldn't live in complete abject suffering at all times. That poor people should be allowed to go to the doctor. And this is where it all, like, I remember in the 2016 campaign, my first time voting was in the Democratic primary in 2016. I was 18 years old. I voted for Bernie fucking Sanders. I was 19, actually, I think. Yeah, I was 19. And I voted for Bernie fucking Sanders in Maryland in April. And by that point, you know, it was very clear that he had a very long chance at winning the primary. But last time around, for you Bernie 2020 fellas, the last time around, like, he kept winning states, like, deep into the primary. And it was like, wow, awesome. And so when I voted on April 28th, I believe it was, I also voted for Ben Jealous in 2018, and that was another good voting experience I had. He's been pretty epic on Twitter lately. I just wanted to shout him out. But I remember Bernie Sanders losing, and this was around the time where, like, I was a Twitch streamer, and I had a lot of right-wing fans, and I was kind of, for the most part, apolitical on stream. I didn't talk about it. I still felt like it was embarrassing to be poor. I didn't want to make any grand steps talking about politics, but I did say I voted for Bernie. I was a Bernie bro. And then when Bernie lost, and it was Hillary versus Trump, I kind of checked out. You know, I loosely followed some news, but I, for the most part, was like, you know what? You know? This is around when my live stream was starting to kick off. I was starting to get a lot of money. I was getting hundreds of followers a day. I was getting hundreds of viewers a day. And it was like, you know what? Maybe I will make it. You know? Maybe I don't need to deal with the Bernie Sanders thing. Maybe I can just make it on my own. And then 2017 happened. And that's where I made it. I made $35,000 that year playing video games online. I know, it sounds preposterous. I made $35,000 in a 12-month period playing video games, PS1 games, online. How? Right? But, like, it was working out. And then 2018 happened, and I was in Maryland, and I got interested in the Ben Jealous campaign, because that was like, I remember in 2018 there were a few states that had gubernatorial elections that were like, oh wow, someone's like Bernie. Oh, someone like Bernie in my own state. So I got a little bit involved, not terribly. I was on the email list, I donated a few times. I didn't canvass or anything, because I still had massive social issues. This is when I started going through a lot of my trans stuff. You know, I started feeling really self-conscious. I didn't want to go outside, you know, that kind of shit. But I got excited. I was like, you know what? Maybe 2018, I'm back into politics, the midterms. I started hearing about AOC and stuff, and I was like, wow. And this is around the time where my politics started to be formed. And one of the things that kind of ended my streaming career was, one, coming out as transgender. My fan base did not like that. I went from having hundreds of viewers to having dozens of viewers because of being trans. But you know what? I was like, at this point, I was starting to get to the point where it's like, you know what? I don't give a shit. I started developing this personality. The personality that's like, I've been through all this shit before. I had an awful childhood. I just want to fucking be online. I want to be myself. And if you don't like it, go fuck yourself. That was my mentality. And then I started, like, the one thing was like, you know, but a lot of my fans are right-wingers. How do I deal with that? And then I realized, you know what? I don't give a fuck. I realized that, you know, again, poor people, being poor is okay. And really, the end of 2017 and the start of 2018 was where I got involved. I was like, you know what? You know what? I am a leftist. I am a left-wing person. And I started reading. I started watching a lot of YouTube stuff. I discovered the Majority Report, which is still my favorite podcast. I think indispensable media there. Sam Cedar does amazing interviews of random book authors that just bring you like knowledge about subjects that you would otherwise not necessarily be inclined to look up. Like, I learned about a lot of stuff like policing. This is like, again, I got swatted in 2018, and like, you know, my politics at that time were starting to get very developed. I started hating cops. Before I got swatted, I started hating cops. Remember, for those of you that were there, maybe you remember, but when the stream where I got swatted, when I came back, the first thing I did on stream was I started playing NWA Fuck the Police as the cops were still in my house. As they were packing up and leaving, I was fucking humming along with Fuck the Police. Because I hated cops. I was already, you know, at that point I was like, you know what, fuck the cops. In my childhood, I got harassed by cops a lot. I'll talk about that maybe in another video, but And so then the 2018 stuff happened. I wanted to get more involved with the Maryland gubernatorial campaign with Ben Jealous. And then I started hearing about people like AOC that were like, they were saying things that I was saying. Like, yeah, it's okay to be poor. And that Bernie Sanders inspired her to be, you know, proud of being poor. And then at that point, I was like, all day, every day. I had, you know, I was still a streamer for a job. You know, I was 2018, my annual income was like 20,000. So I went from like 35K playing video games online to about 20K over the year of 2018. So I still had, you know, that was my job, playing video games. And then by the end of the year, I kind of just gave up on that for a while. But again, I had heard the idea and I started getting fully involved. By the summer of 2018, I was consuming so much media. I was reading a lot of stuff online. I was studying a lot of stuff. Leftist politics, policies, politicians. I was studying. I remember I watched every presidential debate. From, I think it was 1980 onward. I watched every presidential debate, and that was like fun for me. It was like, you know, all these people are fucking awful. And then that's where I kind of like fully realized, yeah, Obama is one of the grand architects that caused my childhood to be so garbage. And then, you know, once you kind of have these things click in your brain, it's like, it's over. So then by the end of 2018, I was an anarchist. I went from somewhat apolitical, depressed, kind of like, I don't even want to try, but I'm kind of a social democrat, I guess, to full on burn it all down. I'm an anarchist, and I've been like that since. When my mom had a stroke in 2018, and I came home, you know, one of the things was I barely left my house, and I went to a concert. The first concert I'd went to as an adult. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to a concert. I'm going to go out. I'm going to have fun. I'm going to drink and go to a concert, listen to music. And I came home, and my mom was on the floor, crying. And it's like, and I mentioned this a lot in the previous video about how my uncle, my mother's brother, refused to let me see her in the hospital, would hide her from me. But I remember, like, that was like, I was an anarchist by this point. I had kind of already figured out my politics. But then it's like, this is around the time where it's like I still hadn't had these crucial conversations. Like, my mom and I still didn't get along. Like, 2 weeks before that, I had hid being trans from my mom for a full year after starting hormones. 2 weeks before she had a stroke. You know? We had a conversation. I tried to kill myself, and my mom stopped me. Crying on webcam, dude, this is very cathartic. But like a few weeks before she had her stroke, she stopped me from killing myself. And then I was really drunk, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna open up. I'm gonna tell my mom everything, and then she apologized. God, holy shit. I'm trying not to embarrass myself too much. But she apologized to me and said, we're gonna work through this. And 2 weeks later, she was gone. To my knowledge, I saw her once in the hospital after the initial stroke, and she didn't remember I was trans. She didn't remember anything about me. She kept telling me about things from my childhood as if they were recent events. Like, she had a stroke. Her brain was kaput. And I mean, ever since then, I mean, this has been my goal. You know, my life passion. It's like, you know what? This will never happen to another person as long as I can help it. And, you know, it still happens every day. People experience garbage, but it's like, that's when I decided to go dedicate my existence to the cause, so to speak. And I experimented with a lot of different things. Maybe I'll go into that at some point, but late 2018, early 2019, this is when I started getting heavily into cannabis usage. And I tried to kill myself so many times in the fall of 2018. And then, like, I started just smoking weed every day. And I was like, you know what? This helps me. This is working. This actually is functioning. I can live with this. And a lot of stuff happened. I got sexually assaulted. Someone tried to rape me. In the fall of 2018, and that was like another big experience, because then this whole Kavanaugh thing happened. Around the same time the Kavanaugh thing happened, like early October, Kavanaugh of 2018, this whole big sexual assault scandal. And then November, I got sexually assaulted and someone tried to rape me, and the only reason I wasn't completely just raped and maybe killed is because I was able to escape. And maybe I'll go more in depth on that in another thing. I don't know. That's something I don't know if I can ever really talk about in depth, but... And then it's like all these events started happening to me. It's like, you know, my mother having a stroke, not remembering me. My uncle preventing me from seeing her in the hospital. Nearly getting raped and barely escaping with my life. And then having the cops call me a sexual deviant. Basically what happened was I ran out of this building that I was in, and it was 3 a.m. and there was a 7-Eleven down the street. It was raining. I had no shoes on. I had no socks on. I was barefoot in the rain in November, so it was cold in Maryland. It was pretty fucking cold. And I ran to the 7-Eleven, and someone, you know, saw me running and called the police. And the police fucking called me a sexual deviant. And they said that I deserved what happened because I wasn't careful, or whatever the fuck. Disgusting motherfuckers. And I have since then channeled all of that energy into politics. And then I was like, you know what? I've got this YouTube channel. I've got this whole thing going on that I've been doing. Instead of playing video games all day, and that's the only thing I do, 2020 started, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna full-throat it, you know, dedicate everything I do to politics. Because, you know what? I'm sick and tired of seeing people suffer, having experienced suffering, having no one helped me. I want to help someone. You know, I want to intervene in someone's life if they're experiencing something that I was experiencing. I want to tell them, you know what? I'm here to help. And I already had a YouTube channel from being a video game live streamer, so you know what? I'm going to do a full political show. At this point, I'd been watching all kinds of political shows. You know, I'm a pretty abrasive person. If you watch me, I'm pretty fucking abrasive. I don't fuck around. But like, I was like, you know what? This is it. I moved to North Carolina. I'm no longer in Washington, D.C. There's not much activism work I can do in a rural town as well. That was another thing. It was like 2019, I was in Washington, D.C. Like, it just so happened, right? Like, it just so happened, everything leading up to that point, I was in Washington, D.C. So I could, like, go to the city, and there would be protests. I could meet people. I could talk to people. This is when I started getting into anti-fascist networks. This is when I started getting into protest networks. This is where I started meeting a lot of people. And then I moved to North Carolina because, as I mentioned previously, my uncle despised me. He did not like the fact that I was transgender. That was a big breaking point. Both of them. Just did not like trans people in any capacity. That was like, you know... And I moved to North Carolina, and then now I live in a rural town. But it's like, I got this YouTube channel. It's got like 4,000 subscribers. You know what? If I can have a positive impact via YouTube, I will. And I will do my best. And that's where Above It All came from. That's the inception of this whole project right now, is that it's okay to be poor. And I'm going to do what I can to make sure that nobody ever has to go through the things that I went through. And that's why I'm here. Anyway, that's my political journey. Are there, like, other areas where I can, like, plant fucking shit? What is this? Oh. Shit. Okay. Alright. Okay. I see. Alright, so I was just being a fucker the whole time. Yeah, I mean, that's my political journey. That's where I've been. That's why I'm here. That's what I'm doing. And I'm, you know, I'm still a video gamer. I still like video games. I was born and raised by myself, single mother. Never talked to me, never paid attention to me for the most of my childhood. Just bought me video games. And so this is a part of my life. And that's not going away. But my thing is, if I can mix the video games with the important political messaging, that's what I'm going to do. And if this drunken rambling helps people understand me better and helps people understand my mission better, so be it. Even if it's only 30, 40, 50 people, I don't care. Anybody that watches this, I appreciate you and I'm here for you. That's simple. Damn, this evening has been a bombshell. Who needs therapists, right? This shit's like $200 a session. Who needs it? I could just make a YouTube video instead. Fuck that. But hey, I'm about to beat Act 4, so that's cool. I just realized that I'm about to beat Act 4. I've leveled. I haven't even paid attention to my level ups, but I'll just wait. I'm almost at another passive skill, so I'll wait. But yeah, again, thank you for watching this video. I mean, you know, that's, you know, the meat of the video's over. I'm just probably gonna finish up this act, and then I don't know. This has been something else. Again, it's very cathartic for me because a lot of the stuff I still haven't ever talked about. You know, just as fucked up as this sounds, when my mom had a stroke, I streamed the next day, and I didn't tell anyone because I wanted to have an outlet. I didn't want anyone to know I was suffering. I didn't want anyone to know that my mom was in the hospital and that she was probably going to die. I didn't want anyone to know that, so I didn't tell anyone for weeks. I didn't tell anybody that my mom was in the fucking hospital, and then I don't know. No one knew, and I didn't want anyone to know. I was embarrassed. I was scared, and I wanted an outlet. I wanted somewhere to, like, oh, I can just go speedrun Mega Man X6. Whatever fucking game I was playing at the time. I just wanted, you know, I'm going to speedrun that fucking game. I'm going to have fun. This is my outlet. I don't want to think about the fact that my mother's dying. I just don't want to think about it. I don't want to know anything about it. I don't want anyone to know anything about it. I don't want people asking about it. I don't want people telling me that they're here for me. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to speedrun fucking PS1 games. And that's what I did. For like the next couple of days. And then I got more involved with a lot of stuff, and then hold up. Hold up. Okay, hold up. Whoa. What? 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 2 unconfirmed what does that mean, unconfirmed? Apply points. What is... Hello? Apply the fucking points. What the fuck? I don't know. This game is broken. But again, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're with my message. I'm glad that you're with me on my journey through this world. Hey, I'm 24 years old. I got at least another 10 years in me. You know, the average transgender fucking life expectancy is about 35. I got at least 10 years left in me. I got time. But yeah, I mean, again, thank you for that. For watching this. I mean, I don't know. These are difficult videos to make, but it's been so long. It's been nearly 2 years since I went to a concert because I wanted to have fun in my life because I was depressed. And then I went to a concert. I came home and my mom's dying on the floor and I had no idea how long she was there. And then her brother wouldn't let me see her. Because another thing that happened, just to fill in the scoop, is that at some point throughout, you know, that whole 3-year, 4-year living situation there in Maryland, she gave him power of attorney over her. You know, in the sense of like, it's some sort of legal classification where basically you completely own this person. And so, like, you know, and I probably could have called around doctors. I probably could have found it, but I was scared. Another thing was, like, I was scared. I was scared of seeing my mother. I was scared of, you know, what she would say to me. Because the one time I went and saw her, she didn't remember me. She was like, you know, she kept thinking I was her 12-year-old son. And it was just disgusting. And I couldn't handle it. And she didn't remember anything. Like, literally. Like, nothing. Not even shit from, like, when I was, like, a teenager. She remembered nothing about me. And that's hard. Well, whatever. I'm gonna kill this fucker and then this video is gonna be over. So. God damn, what an emotional roller coaster I'm going through. But this is honestly therapeutic. This makes me feel pretty fucking good. I feel happy, in a way, that I'm talking about this stuff, because I know I'm getting a lot of new viewers. There's a lot of new people watching me and people joining me at this point in my journey throughout this world. And they don't know anything about me, and I feel like and I've never talked about a lot of this stuff online. You know, I talk about it sometimes in passing, but I've never gone in any sort of depth. So it's like, you know, this is kind of like a mini introduction. This has been my life. And it's weird. It's weird, you know? It's totally strange. I've got a very unique life. But that's the kind of the fun of it, you know? Got a lot of fun stories. Again, the music was Mega Man X5, Matrex's stage, Burn Dino Rex. I'll see you later. Thank you for watching, etc., 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 etc. Goodbye.